mentor, and I help women define a clear and strategic plan so that they have clarity and, oh, hi Liberty! So glad that you're on. Anyway, I help women define a clear and strategic plan so they have clarity and confidence in pursuing the second act of their lives. And I also love helping writers. You know, when I tell people that I'm an author and a writer, one of the things that people always say is, oh, I wish that I could write a book. My story is so important. And you know, everyone's story is important. Everyone's story has a legacy to it and a purpose and something of value that is a way of sharing with others. And so my hope is that you'll all see the value of your own story and that someday you'll pick up the pen and start writing. So today's scope, I want to talk to you about the reasons why you should write a book, the things that it does for you. Oh, thank you, Liberty. Yay. Great topic. Liberty's one of the best writers I've seen. She is on Huffington Post and she's written books and she's an amazing person. We could all benefit from knowing her as well if you want to follow her on Periscope. And thank you, Liberty, for giving me hearts. I really appreciate it. So if you like what I'm hearing, you can tap the screen and give me hearts. And somehow that gives me feedback that I'm giving you information that might be of value. So anyway, as I was saying, I'm a writer and I help coach people. And I help coach people in the next act of their lives, because so many women in their 40s and 50s go through a transition, 60s even, go through a transition and they don't know what to do. And one of the things that I implement for women at that stage of life is talking about looking at their life story and possibly even writing a book. So today's scope is, why would you write a book? And I have many reasons why people should write a book, and one of the most important things is that it offers you a tool of perspective. Now, somehow when you look back on your life, you sort of remember all of the iconic moments, and they can be bad or they can be good, but when you remember them, you remember iconic moments of your life. And what I do is I take my writers through a timeline of their life, and usually you'll see on the timeline these giant moments of transition. Thank you for the hearts. These giant moments of transition. And what people don't realize is that in each of those moments of transition, there actually are negatives and positives. And if you do a whole story line of your life, what you find is somehow all of those pieces fit together, and it's really quite a miracle. So that's how you sort of establish your story arc, because you take those iconic moments, what they did for you, the positives and the negatives, and it all fits together in pieces. So that's my first tip, is that it offers you a tool for perspective on your own life and a way for you to sort of heal your relationships and your perspective around that event. For example, one of the hardest things that I ever went through was the loss of my 16-year-old child. And it was absolutely the most devastating time of my life. I can look back on that now and say it still is the most devastating moment of my life. But what I learned from it has been so important in my life today. It helped me write a book that has become an award-winning book. I've gotten 8 awards on my book. And the awards aren't as important as the attention that it's gotten because of the awards. And that is that my book, How to Survive the Worst That Can Happen, it's a parent's step-by-step guide to healing after the loss of a child. And what this book has done is that by getting awards and getting attention, it gets into the hands of parents who really need it. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have written that book. So right there is another reason for writing a book. Oh, thank you for those hearts. And another reason for writing the book is a book is that it gives you a sense of purpose and legacy. And that's so important when we get to the later years of our lives and we say, what have I done with my life? Well, your book is a perfect way to compile exactly what you've done with your life. So item 2 is it's a way to share your message. As a writer, you get to share your message. And regardless of whether you're a coach or a practitioner or a spiritual leader or just you, the fact that you have a tool to share your message and your life story as being meaningful in a way that might help other people, that's huge. It's a huge, important part of your legacy as a human being on this planet. And that was always very important to me, is that I had something to share for the pain and the sorrow, but also the joys and the triumphs. And I was able to make something out of that. Item 3 is a book is a more complete way of sharing your triumphs and tragedies in order to give you meaning to others, but it also gives you a tool for healing. So in writing my book, I did so much healing. I was able to observe, become the observer of my life, and not necessarily participating because I had already experienced it. But in writing it, you become the observer of your life. And what that gives you is mind-blowing perspective. It is the most remarkable tool for healing. I'm also certified as a grief recovery counselor. And one thing that I do is that I ask people to start a journal, because starting a journal gives you a point of beginning and a point of where you are today, and the ability to look back and see how far you've come. So for me, a journal is a huge tool, regardless of if you ever want to turn it into a book. You don't have to, but it's a really important tool. So number 4 is it has to do with business and success and principles of success. It helps build credibility in your area of expertise. For example, I love helping women transition their life after loss, after divorce, after empty nest, after all of these life-changing moments. And because I have a book, I have a tool that says, you know what? She has some credibility in this area. I think I'll listen to her. And my books, I've written several books over the years, and I'm so fortunate that it's one of the things that I'm totally passionate about is writing. And Liberty, thank you for still being on Periscope, because I know you are such a great writer and you have a passion like I do. And follow her if you haven't followed her. And also, if you feel like this is of value, please share this broadcast with someone that you think might benefit from writing their own story or writing their own book. Because over the next several weeks, I plan on talking a lot about the writer's trade. And the reason that I know it is because not only have I written several books, but I also was a partner with my husband, my late husband, David, who was a screenwriter, and he wrote every day of his life for a living. And we had several really wonderful shows on the air. One of them, Beauty and the Beast. Another was Silk Stockings. Another was a sci-fi show called Sliders, which I actually was one of the actors in it. And, you know, those are the kind of things that you start to learn as a writer, the things that keep you going and keep you motivated. I'm going to be talking about all of those over the next several weeks. So I hope you keep joining me. And if you like the content, I hope that you can share it and follow me, and also hearts. So number 5 in today's scope is, I believe that writing, and this is really important, I believe that writing is one way to express your soul's divine purpose, because we are our stories, and our stories are unique. Our stories aren't like anybody else. in helping women over the years struggle with life after loss and so many transitions, I realized that yes, I experienced the loss of my son, but it wasn't the same as my friend Sally, who experienced the loss of her son. And it wasn't the same as Jen, who lost her son. And, you know, we're all different. We all look at our experiences differently. And that's why our story is unique. And so you wonder, is your story important? Absolutely, because you have a brand new perspective that I can't write and your friend can't write. Only you can write your own perspective and have it be fully your own story. And it is transforming. I tell you, it is absolutely life transforming. Thank you. Great point. Thank you, Liberty. You're so right. And so number 6, that sort of leads into number 6, because your uniqueness is what makes you who you are. And it's your own very special way of having an impact on the world. And what better thing to know that somehow something that you've written, maybe even just a line or a poem or a blog, something had an impact on somebody's life and changed their lives. And I'm telling you, there's nothing better. And I know Liberty, who is on this cast, also knows that feeling of having someone come to them and say, wow, your story helped me so much. I'm so grateful that you shared your story. And I'll tell you, nothing feels better than that when you know that you've given value to someone else. So that brings me to number 7, is it brings you happiness, knowing that you're achieving something that you've always dreamed of doing. Because how many people continue to say, oh, I've always wanted to write a book, and then get to the end of their lives and they don't write it? You know, that is such an important point, because if not now, when? When will you pick up the pen and start writing your story? And I'm going to help you over the next several weeks, because that's what I'm going to be periscoping about. I've designed a 5-day writing challenge, which I'm really excited about. And I can just help you get started outlining and get some of the tools of the trade and the tricks and things to cure writer's block. And I've got all of those things within me. But most of all, I want to give you the strength and the courage to really start doing it. Number 8, it's a way that you can begin writing chapters for your future. And I don't think most people realize this, is that one, thank you, Liberty. I'm glad you're going to be joining me. I don't think that you realize how much control you have over your own life once you have perspective of your story. And you know, you don't even have to ever publish it. But if you put your story on paper, even in chapters with just a few lines about everything that happened in your life, you have perspective. And that perspective helps you design the next act of your life, the next chapters of your life. And you get to write how you want your life to be in the future. It's like having a vision board in words. And there is nothing more powerful than words, because words evoke the emotion in your brain. And everyone says, law of attraction, whatever you want to believe, that emotion is what stimulates action, and the action to actually start manifesting these dreams. So if you have the emotion, it's in your brain. What you see is in your brain. Then it goes out your brain, down through the end of your pen or your computer. And Liberty says, and you can see your progress years later when you look back at what you wrote. Exactly. That's so true. Is that perspective, you look back and you see how far you've come. And I'll tell you, in my grief recovery clients and my coaching clients, that has been the biggest tool for feeling good about who you are. And so many people struggle with that. And I can tell you that when you look back at all that you've survived, all that you've become, as a result of everything that happened to you, even the worst, you are triumphant. And that's your fairy tale ending. That's your living happily ever after. Because what happens is, Fairy tales are triumph over adversity. And by the fact that you're on this Periscope and you're listening to what I'm having to say about perspective and your life and writing your life story, you see that you have triumphed over adversity because you're still learning, you're still watching, you're still knowing that there's something more that your life has to offer. And I'm so proud of you for doing that and for being here. So anyway, just to wrap it up, I also want to talk about a couple of Periscope people that have really inspired me, that I listened to, that really challenged me to get on here and start talking about what I know and what I love and what I'm passionate about. One of them is Melissa Farr, she's a coach for women entrepreneurs, and she gives amazing tips. Another on Periscope is Dana Malstaff, and she specializes in teaching people how to do online programming. Michael Cinquino, he's the founder of the 8 Practices and Livestream Profit Machine, and what he does is he is just a mixture of so many wonderful things, life coaching and just tips on feeling good and how to start your day and motivating. I just love him. Bonnie Frank, who does business coaching and consulting, and she's wonderful. And then there's the tech tools guy, Alex Pettit. He's a young guy who knows everything there is to know about Periscope. So I asked him a million questions, and that's why I'm on here today. But you know, if you just start scrolling through Periscope, you'll find so much value of people, what people know. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is start writing about what you know and what you're passionate about. And if you have any questions, you can email me at, because I have programs starting up, sandy@sandypeckinpah.com. And that's my email, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And then I write a blog quite frequently, a lot about what I talked about today, but also just about life challenges, success, finding your way, helping women design a plan for the next act of their lives, and also about writing and perspective and grief recovery. So if you feel like joining me on my website, this is it, sandypeckinpah.com. And actually, I have a pretty good history on there so you can learn more about me. And I hope that you'll continue listening. And I'll be back here tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining. I'm thrilled that I had you on my Periscope. And I thank you so much for the hearts. I really appreciate it. And this is one challenge that I made for myself, is to start Periscoping on a regular basis. So you helped me achieve my goal, and I'm just going to continue. So thank you for watching, and thank you replay viewers, because I know there will be some on the web that won't be able to respond or show up in person, but will listen to the replay, and I hope you achieved some sort of value. And go out there, have a great day, and remember, you are uniquely you. Your story has meaning and purpose and value, and make it count today and in the future. All right? Thanks so much. Bye-bye.